Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Lou Nanne, and Sid Hartman, and a lot to talk about as we work our way through the evening. Sidney, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good to see you.
Yeah.
State high school hockey tournament, and Louis, you called the games, and your grandson played on the state championship team, and this is not the first time between your son and your grandson, but everybody wants to know what's that like to sit up in the booth when you have a vested interest in your grandson is playing.
Well, I've done the Stanley Cup, I've done the Olympics, I've done the NCAA championship, I've done every kind of championship in hockey, and that is the toughest game I've ever had to broadcast. It was tough for my other grandson, Louis, but Marty had won a state championship when I broadcast. Louis had too. And I wanted Tyler to win so bad, but of course I don't want to hit the show. And it was the most difficult broadcast I've ever had in my life.
Whose kid is that?
That's Marty's youngest.
Oh.
But is it in some ways easier because you got to just lock in on the game so you can't get so emotional? Or?
No, it's tougher because I try to lock in on a game, but when he's on the ice, you lock into the player.
Him around.
And then you know, you're kind of thinking what he should be doing and not doing, and I have to remember that I'm broadcasting a game.
And Patrick, what's the most memorable high school hockey tournament? There were some memorable things this weekend. What's your
Well, I was
which one did you
prep
cover?
guy at the St. Paul paper in 1969, covering the tournament when this thing changed completely. Because first of all, it had moved from the St. Paul Auditorium to Met Center. That was the first year at Met Center. And now all of a sudden there were 16,000 people instead of 8,500. And it hadn't been a pimple on the rear end of the boys basketball tournament until then. But then Henry Boucher came to town from War Road, and the town went crazy when they saw him play hockey. And then Edina had the misfortune of running him over in the was that the
Jimmy Knutson?
Jimmy Knutson.
It was actually
and the crowd,
a good check, but the crowd wasn't going to think it was a good check.
You think the crowd was hostile last night, yesterday afternoon for St. Thomas Academy? Ooh. Yeah. There was 1,000 Edina people there and 15,000 that wanted to lynch him. It was fabulous.
Sidney, what about for you over the years?
Oh, Mayasich, that
wow, we're going way back. That was the auditorium.
That really made it a tournament. Those guys, those two guys went to Michigan. Two guys go to Michigan or three guys?
Eichela went to Michigan.
And Matcheffs.
Huh?
Matcheffs and Eichela went to Michigan. Mayasich went down here.
They that made the tournament. I mean, I think, what year was that?
No, that was probably about 48, 50.
Well, you know Dwayne Netland.
Wow.
You know Dwayne Netland, the late, great Dwayne Netland, was covered the North Stars when they first started here. And Nettie had a bit of a stuttering problem, and I always blamed it on him being the goalie for Wilmer when Mayasich played for Eveleth.
Well,
after they played him?
Yeah, I think Nettie got that stutter from Eveleth coming down the ice back then, that big train Mayasich.
The best story about Netland, as you said, he had the stutter, and he used to cover us, the North Stars. And he called me one day and he said, Lou, I said, what do you want, Nettie? He says, how'd you know it was me?
Well, I was a big Edina fan because Mariucci and I, the superintendent of schools, never met Eichela face to face when he hired him. Mariucci and I went out there and we got him to hire him, and he was out in Colorado Springs or someplace, and he never met him personally till he hired him.
You amaze me. You got involved in hockey before you got involved in basketball.
Yeah, well,
you were a general manager in hockey.
And he got you the GM job for the Stars.
1999, the Star Tribune was doing 100 years of sports series, and February was hockey. And Eveleth, we made Eveleth. So Ike and I drove up there. I drove up there with Eichela. He agreed to come up to me. We're in this bar at Eveleth. And, you know, Eveleth was far from being a dynasty then, you know, after that. He says, go down to the bar and ask that fella at the end what happened to the Eveleth hockey dynasty. And so I go down. I don't know what his name was, but Ike knew what he'd say. And he said, they married all the Virginia girls and screwed up the bloodline. He said.
Ike was at the game last night.
Was he there? How's he doing?
Well, they honored the 88 Edina, or 88
isn't that something that
state championship team.
For people that don't know, Edina played Hill Murray in a pickup hockey game, the 88 teams yesterday over at Braemar.
Yeah.
Really?
This was scheduled a long time ago,
yeah.
and it turned out these two teams played for the state championship.
And Edina had won 5-3, and TCF always honors the 25-year winner in their suite. And so last night they had the 88 team, and Willard was there, and Larson was there with the 88 team.
There's a bunch of guys with the Edina sweatshirts in one of the suites.
That was them. That was the 88 team that won the state championship.
Who was on the 88 team?
And they...
Who were some of the guys on it? Got any
I
idea?
can't remember who was there. I don't know if
I was trying to think of that
How
too.
many they got
Hankinson
now?
was
Might have
gone.
been,
And was Nevers
many
there
they got
yet?
now?
Nevers might have been.
What, they got 8 or 9 now? Edina? How many they got?
Yeah.
Well, if you count both schools, I think it's like 13.
Really?
Yeah.
So Louis,
But the one school, the school that was short term only had one, right?
Yeah, Edina West.
Yeah, one.
Edina kind of dominated that thing for a while.
Yeah, they've, well,
lots of teams. Jefferson dominated it for a few years.
Jefferson was the last three-peat.
You might not
until
see
St.
that again.
Thomas.
Yeah, in 1A.
Yeah.
I still say they ruined it when they
Nah, they didn't.
It's pretty good. I'll tell
They
you.
got 17,000, 18,000 people there. What's the problem?
It confuses them. That's the problem.
And the single A teams, they got, well, you got St. Thomas and Hermantown and Breck, 3 great teams in that tournament. Could have been in the double A tournament. So they've really improved the hockey in the single A tournament. So
The reason they had 18,000, you had Hill Murray.
No, they've been drawn.
Edina, and you had Wayzata.
Double A's been drawn.
they've been drawing for a long time.
No, they didn't sell it last year.
Well, I'm telling you,
Close.
they are.
I was there. They had empty seats.
You're
last
always
year.
going to have empty seats because
Because the students leave.
You buy 2 games. When you buy, say you're buying a 6 o'clock game, and you're Hill Murray and you're playing at 6. You go at 6 and you leave. Your seat's empty, but you have the ticket for 8.
We'll get to him during the break. Take a break. Come back. The Sports Show. Stay with us. Locally owned, nationally known, J.D. Hoyt's on Washington. Stop on by, see Pat and the whole gang. That is a pretty good steak. Welcome back to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, Lou Nanny, and Sid Hartman. Gopher basketball team, your official statement.
Well, I don't think they'll fire Tubby Smith, and I think if he wins a couple games in the tournament, then he'll get an NIT.
NIT, not good. NCAA.
He'll get in the NCAA, and I think a year from now, they'll have if he don't win some games then he'll be gone. But I don't think they'll fire him. There's no way they've made a decision on this right now.
Well, you don't have to because...
I talked to a guy who's going to have some reason to make the decision when it comes to finances, and he says if they fire him after paying $800,000 to that football game, and now they're going to give him 2.5, and already paying Mason, they're already paying Brewster, they're already paying...
well, those got to be off the books by now.
Munson.
No, they're not off the
but
books.
they financed it.
But it really doesn't matter. You can't hold an athletic director to your past mistakes. So you can't say, because we're paying for these other guys, we can't let the athletic director make the decisions he thinks he has to make your team better. Right. And if you don't have to pay $2.6 million, if you don't want to pay it this year, you're still going to have to pay it next year if you fire him. So that doesn't change. They have to get the program where they want. And if the athletic director feels that he has to make the move, he'll make the move.
All I got to say is, after we watched them play Nebraska, what did we say? They have to play faster. Now that we've seen them play faster, maybe they should go back to playing slower.
Man,
that Nebraska thing was the worst basketball. I was in Florida. I was mesmerized by how rotten it was.
It was a classic, unwatchable Big Ten game.
Nebraska is horrible, and they played horrible, and they won. It was an embarrassment to be a resident of the state of Minnesota.
And they couldn't make free throws. And
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who has won at Minnesota in basketball? When?
Well,
Who else has
Dutcher,
won in Minnesota?
Haskins, Musselman.
Haskins did a few little things to get players that this guy doesn't do.
Haskins had five NCAA wins his first 4 years, and this guy's got 0 after 5.
He did a few things to get Burton. He did a few things to get other players that this guy.
You never said that at the time.
Well, does this mean...
At the time, you never said that.
No, I didn't say it.
Does this mean that you stopped trying to win then?
Huh?
Does this mean that you stopped trying to win?
Stop trying to win. Other coaches they had there did some cheating.
You can't.
And this guy's not cheating. And this guy won't get fired. Maybe you got the inside.
No, I'm not talking I have an inside. I'm just
He won't get fired.
I'm just talking business-wise.
He won't get fired.
They have to look at it with like lose season tickets. I just support them whoever they hire. I don't care.
Here's my question.
But I'm just
where are we
going
to get the tens of millions of dollars for these facilities everybody's talking about?
I don't know about the facilities, but the Big Ten Network, and you can buy out anybody you want right now.
Yeah.
Because this is money that Louis, we were talking about before, you didn't even have this budgeted. This has been this windfall out of nowhere. This is the ultimate donor that you have.
Right, exactly.
And it keeps on donating.
It keeps getting bigger and bigger. When you look at what they're going to get, the extra money now from bringing those football teams in, then you're going to get more money because of the hockey. Now you got a Big Ten Hockey League that's going to be going on TV. They continue to get revenue.
And by the way, let me just give you a quick TV model. So you're locked in on how subscribers, what you can make, but now you're going to have better programming. So you're going to be able to sell commercials for more money. So the pot's going to get bigger.
First of all, Maryland at this point can't get out of their deal. There's a $52 million deal that they have to pay to get out of it.
You're missing the point on this.
The point is the money from the Big Ten is not growing right now. It won't grow for a couple of years. And the point is,
you're missing the point.
Minnesota's got an $80 million budget. Ohio State is $120 million. Michigan is $150 million. Iowa's close to $100 million. Wisconsin's close to $100 million. Those are reasons why you don't win in Minnesota.
But you can still buy out with what you're getting in from the Big Ten Network alone, any coach that you want.
They're using the money from the Big Ten Network so they can break even right now.
Well, then they need to reestablish the budget.
Good.
Louis?
Well, all I know is you got to
win from selling booze at TCF Bank Stadium. How many more revenue streams do they need?
Yeah, you have to make decisions to get better.
Than Lucia.
And you have to make decisions to get better.
No difference than Lucia. All those guys want to get Lucia fired. They were doing lousy. They didn't fire him. And they won't fire this guy either.
Well, we'll see.
A lot of people want Lucia fired too, including you.
Louis?
I'm the guy that stayed behind him. You better get your facts straight. You could talk about some of these other things that maybe buffaloed them, but I was the guy supporting Lucia. Okay. So don't get that wrong.
And he was, and I was there when he was.
You supported him, but he didn't have a lot of support.
That's right, but he still
didn't fire him.
Lucia had a little.
There was a little difference. Lucia was sick. He was going through medical problems. He really wasn't coaching. And people were blaming him, and he wasn't able to do what he wanted to do.
I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again.
And Don had a long track record.
Take a break, come back, sports show, stay with us. There it is, stop on by. Audi Minneapolis, 9393 Wayzata Boulevard, right off of 394 and General Mills Boulevard. It's a great place to buy a vehicle. Check out the Q7. Visit with Bruce Bonine, great season ticket holder, Golden Gopher basketball, and much more. Welcome back to the sports show. You know, Pam Borton's situation got a lot of attention, too.
Yeah, well, they sneaked in a 2-year extension. Nobody knew they'd done it. They didn't announce it, so. And now she gets beat in the first round, so she's not going to the tournament. But I think she's got a better future for next year anyway than the Gophers do, because she's got Bantam and then they got that hotshot Minnesota kid coming in. So she'll have 2 people who score points. So.
Plus they're under the radar completely.
Plus nobody cares.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And hopefully, you know, Bantam's really an exciting player.
Yeah.
And people are going to get interested in watching her, and the new recruit they got coming in, they're going to be much better.
Did you see me beat her in horse on TV? We did a feature on beat her in horse. You didn't see it, did you?
I did.
It's on video.
Thank goodness. I want to see it. They must have covered the basket.
So she
when
said,
she was
next time I'm
shooting.
going to take on Sid.
Who do you fire? A guy who makes a lot of money or a woman's coach who lost $2 million last year? That's what the women's basketball program lost.
I know.
I got the figures. $2 million.
And so,
Well, what's that got to do with Tubby? I mean,
Well, you fire her before you fire Tubby.
it is a quandary over there. If you're losing so much money that you really can't fire a coach, because what good does it do? Because you're just going to lose more money out of it.
well, as you said,
women's basketball.
you have to make a decision. Can we get the program better? If this is what
And
they're
that's what
thinking,
you, and that's what you have to, as an athletic director,
Yeah.
that's what it's
Make
all
that-
about. You
yeah.
have to say, are we going in the right direction?
Yeah. Are we gonna be able
independent
to-
of this year?
Are we going to do something to change that, or are we going to be better with what we got? That's their decision.
Here's the other part of this equation that hasn't been talked about yet. But if they made a change, or if they bought out Tubby Smith and they brought somebody in for $2.5 million or $3 million, now you're going to have to address Jerry Kill again.
Why?
Got to do what?
Because they-
Why?
I'm just saying that's what they're thinking.
That's
right
why.
Now over there.
But he's right.
He's
That's
got a
right.
That's the right
7-year
question.
contract for
Yeah.
doing nothing. Pay him what he's worth, which is what he's making. Why do they have to give him a raise?
I'm quoting Norwood
Then you
Teague.
ju- well, I know. So why doesn't he just take it out and put it in a barbecue pit and burn it? If
Look, that's a fair
it's gonna cost
assessment.
him an extra $400. Why would
Yeah.
you give Jerry Kill a raise? Based on what?
Well, I have to
It's what
agree with
Norwood is
Pat.
contemplating right now. He wants to move him up.
It all depends on the
That is
individual.
an
When I had
absolute
guys sign contracts,
Cinch.
and
Why?
I had like Cicerelli sign a contract,
Yeah.
and he'd get another good year, and his agent would call, I want to change the contract.
They bring in-
I said, if he would have got 5 goals, would you call me and say, I want to give you some money back?
Right.
I said, no. I said, you sign contracts to live up to a contract. When a contract's done, then you get another one. Or don't sign the long contract.
Sydney?
Absolutely. Mr. Kill has to get that. If they bring in a basketball coach
Why?
and pay him $2.5 million,
You know what I'm talking about,
he
right?
gets $2.5 million.
Why?
Because you can't pay the football coach
Well,
less
you
than
can
a
if he
basketball
hasn't
coach.
done anything.
I'm just saying.
You can if he tell
There's
him to
too
beat
many
Wisconsin.
complications
Tell him to
of
beat
firing him.
Wisconsin once, and then we'll give him a raise.
To my point, this thing is so out of whack at the University of Minnesota and probably at other universities with money. It is so out of whack that how can people, you try to raise money for them, how can people want to contribute money to programs like that? When you go, oh, you're spending it here, you're spending it there, it doesn't make any sense.
Because they want to have good teams, and they think if it's going to take extra money to hire a better coach or you need better facilities, then that's what we have to do, and that's what you have to do.
Well, but they told us that with that stadium Sid got built over there.
Why is Borton more stable than Tubby Smith?
I'm not saying she
Well,
is. I don't
because
know.
it doesn't make any difference who's coaching women's basketball. They're not going to pay for themselves.
You're going to lose
But
$2 million.
Basketball is a high revenue.
He did pay for
income.
himself at one time.
No, they never
Brenda-
paid for
for
themselves.
10 minutes.
Yeah. Take a
10
break,
minutes.
come back, finish up the sports show. Stay with us.
No, you're right.
There it is. Place at the table, now playing at the Uptown Theater. Bring in your ticket stub to Bar Abilene and receive a free order of guacamole and chips. Man, even if you don't get a ticket, it's worth the guacamole and chips at Bar Abilene. That is some tasty.
I haven't been in the new Uptown, but I looked in the lobby the other day. They redid the whole thing. It's supposed to really be nice.
Patrick, and you're just back from spring training. Give us the report. Is there
Well,
a
it's hard to say. Maurer and Morneau are gone.
Yeah.
Some kids I like a lot, but they're ways away. I went over and had my picture taken with Sano. I put it on Twitter, and he's a big lad. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, he's damn near 6'5" now, about 245.
What will we play eventually, do you think?
Well, they're going to keep trying him at third base, but I think he'll be a
What
first
kids do you
baseman.
like?
Well, I didn't get to see Arcia because he's hurt. They say he's fabulous. I like Hicks. I like this pitcher Tonkin, Kubal's brother-in-law, 6'7" right-hander. They got, and this Meyer, Alex Meyer might not start the year here.
Yeah, they sent him down today, yeah.
He's going to be the real deal. This kid they traded for Span.
So there's a little more optimism there, Sydney.
Not for this year, but 2014, they're going to be fun to watch, I think.
Okay.
Here's the thing. They should score runs with Maurer, with Morneau, with Willingham, and with that other guy, I never can pronounce his name, Dummett. What's his name?
Yeah, but that's not a lot of runs. That's not a big-time lineup unless Hicks is
It's
good.
four pretty good hitters in a row.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, run scores wasn't a problem last year, and it probably won't be this year. It's trying to get somebody out with your starters.
It's going to be interesting to see if Willingham can have the same kind of year.
Well, that too. That's something nobody's factored in yet. Louis, will the Wild make the playoffs?
I'm hoping so. I mean, they're going to have to get points all the way along. If you look how tight it is, but I think they will.
Is it mute, though, to even think about Stanley Cup finals out of the West? Because is this unless Chicago has a tornado go through there, can anybody beat the Blackhawks?
Look at Chicago's goaltender
but the best of seven.
The other night.
Yeah, what if Crawford decides to go cold?
Not only that, I mean, their goaltending in a best of seven could be their trouble.
Okay.
Because can that goaltender be as good over some 1 or 2 games?
Well, they ain't going to play 7 if he's good at all.
Maxie,
yeah,
you
right.
know what my theory is? When you play to 3, anybody can win. When you play to 105, the best team's going to win. That's why there's no upsets in the NBA playoffs, and there's always upsets.
How many teams make the playoff?
8 in each conference.
Yeah.
Hey, the realignment went through, Louis.
Yeah,
Yes.
You like that?
I love
Winnipeg, Minnesota's going to be a nice rivalry.
Yeah,
that's what's going to be the
St.
rivalry.
Louis, and you got St. Louis and Chicago too. That's great.
But Winnipeg, because these fans came down for years when they didn't have a team, I think that's going to be a great rivalry.
They're going to have 3 of them. They're going to have 3 real good rivals.
And here's the good part. They're going to have a 57% chance of reaching the playoffs, and in the East, you're only going to have a 50% chance of making the playoffs. 14 teams in the West and 16 in the East.
Now that sounds like something Louis would lobby for.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have wild card. They're going to have 2 teams in each of those divisions fighting for the last playoff spot, so they're going to have a little better chance against.
The traveling has got to make them a better team.
And the TV for us is great.
All right, we got to go. See you back here next week, everybody, on The Sports Show.